What's going on, guys? It is Sneed from Sneed Mobile Tech, and in today's video I want to do a full complete roundup of the T-Mobile and Sprint merger updates, all the information that we know as of right now on Sunday. And the reason I thought this was imperative and something important to do is because, of course, a lot can happen in the coming days. Could have a final decision, could have something from the DOJ, we could have some fallouts, we could have some agreements. So I wanted to cover it all so you guys have all the up-to-date information moving forward into next week. So I want to start this video actually with a quote from Peter Adderton, the original founder of Boost Mobile. And obviously he's very in tune with this merger. He's been an advisor for the DOJ. He's met with Makan Del Rahim, the antitrust chief, and he's very close and intimate with the situation. And he gave a quote. He said, "We are in crazy town." And I think he's completely right. I think that currently with the way that the merger has, gone through these peaks and these valleys, and it's gone through these twists and these turns and all these different directions, all these stories that are coming out hourly, negative, positive, changes, more of the same. It's just been nuts, and it's been absolutely bananas. And depending on the news outlets, you're getting different sources of information. So he's definitely right. So I want to go ahead and get started now. So we'll just stick to the merger. Pre-trial has come and gone. That was officially completed on Friday, a couple days ago. The T-Mobile and Sprint representation were at the trial date, as well as the state attorney general or attorneys general. October 7th is the official start of the trial date, and this is just all sorts of weird because we don't even really have an agreement for this merger. So there's been no decision made. It's just a block at an attempted merger, which is kind of interesting. I'm sure the judge is like, what is this about? So also, Dish is kind of lollygagging currently. It looks like they are mulling around trying to kind of squeeze the most they can get out of the merger. Looks like they're considering a decision to possibly do a Verizon buyout where Verizon would be purchasing all of their Spectrum holdings, and that would be a complete bailout for both Verizon and Dish. I'll get to why exactly that's the case. So in terms of what Dish was going to do with this spectrum originally, they were going to build out an IoT network for 5G. They were going to spend about $10 billion in their, as well as their pre-existing spectrum to build out this network. And now, of course, with the merger kind of looming and what they can do there, they could be the fourth carrier receiving spectrum assets as well as getting the Boost customers in business and then building out that national carrier. So they've got options. It looks like that's why they're lollygagging. They're trying to squeeze the most out of their opportunities. And I'll get to Charlie Ergen and how he implicates this, the chairman of Dish. Also, it appears that the DOJ also may not be actually in a rush to get a deal done. I think there's a lot that they could consider here. They obviously want Dish to be this next carrier, but of course they're not going to do anything painstakingly. They want to get the best situation for them that will convince the judge that this is not an antitrust situation, get the deals done, and get the new fourth carrier there with the assets. So last little bit there, the 4 new states have been added to the list of 10 state attorneys general. So now we've added Minnesota, Nevada, Massachusetts, and Hawaii, which I find Hawaii to be ironic because Hawaii was one of the states whose state utility commissions gave their seal of approval for the merger. Here's another attorneys general kind of getting involved. So whatever there. In terms of the October 7th court date, these proceedings are estimated to last somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks. The judge presiding is Victor Marrero. He did acknowledge that the DOJ greatly impacts this case. I think that goes without saying. At the pretrial, the state's attorneys general, their case was appeared to be flawed from what's being reported. They had many inconsistencies. At one point, they cited antitrust and anti-competition, saying that the carriers as constituted do compete with one another in the 4-carrier format. And he said that they compete fiercely in pricing, and in turn, they also followed that up by saying that prices have decreased. So they're saying that the way things are is good, and they don't want that to change. Later, coming from the other side of their mouth, they said that in another statement, the telecommunications companies involved here have signaled to each other on rates, which have led to increased pricing for customers. So that definitely is flawed. They're saying rates have been decreasing because they've been fiercely competing, and then out of the other side of their mouth, they're saying that they signal to each other when to raise pricing. Well, which one is it? Because it cannot be both. So definitely a flawed statement there. I don't think that really holds up well for the state's attorneys general case. T-Mobile lawyers spoke of the combined competition efforts with the new T-Mobile, how it could increase competition to the big two telecoms in Verizon and AT&T. And he doesn't think that the DOJ opposes it, and he thinks that they support it. So that kind of tells you their frame of mind. And the FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, also gave a statement. He said that the state's attorneys general, their argument and their suit is misguided, which is probably the only time I've ever agreed with Ajit Pai on anything. So that's kind of where we're at. Now, what I want to do with this last back half of this video update is to talk a little bit about Dish and where we're at here. So Dish is actually seeking a favor from the FCC for their involvement in this T-Mobile and Sprint merger. So Dish has become a huge piece of this merger. Number one, they're going to potentially be the purchaser of Boost and the operator of that company. Fourth, national wireless carrier. And of course, in order to do all of this, they need quite a bit of concessions. They need some deals. So what Dish wants to do is they want a deal from the FCC where the FCC will waive the March 2020 spectrum deployment deadline that was set by the FCC. So Dish began this process 1 year ago as merger opposition. They saw the merger as a problem. They said it was anti-competition, yada, yada, yada. They were negative. They were anti-merger. Well, the tables have really turned, as now they could be potentially the biggest beneficiary of this merger, directly at least. They're going to be using their pre-existing spectrum holdings in this case. They'll be getting Boost, their customers in the business. They'll also be acquiring more spectrum assets out of T-Mobile and Sprint. And of course, this allows them to get into 5G and becoming a wireless carrier and possibly doing their IoT network as well. So some have referred to Dish as kind of like Sprint and T-Mobile's bailout. Obviously, Sprint is trying to bail out of this. T-Mobile's trying to get bigger. And, you could tell that clearly with the way this is progressing. Dish is definitely trying to squeeze as much out of this as possible. Charlie Ergen, the chairman of Dish, is really trying to get a lot out of this, and that's what these negotiations are and why it's taking so long. At the same time, I've heard people refer to, T-Mobile as being the one bailing Dish out, and you could see how that could be the case because Dish holding on and hoarding all the spectrum, eventually they were going to lose this if they didn't do something with it. The FCC created this deadline for them, March 2020, and if they didn't do anything with it, they were going to lose it. So Charlie Ergen is the 40th wealthiest person in the U.S. I actually didn't know about this. He's very patient. He's very strategic, and he's really good at milking an ant. Like, he's going to squeeze everything out of this merger that he can, and he loves having options. So rumor has it that, the latest rumor, I guess, is that Boost is going to be purchased along with the assets by Dish for $6 billion. This would get Dish in as the operator of Boost and the business owner, getting the customers as well as getting all the spectrum assets that they could do to deploy a national network. Dish has also kind of made it an indication that they could potentially do a deal with Verizon. If the merger deal fails, they would build out an IoT network through 5G using their spectrum portfolio, or they could just do the bailout with Verizon. And they're willing to spend up to $10 billion to roll out this IoT network. So Charlie Ergen is holding true to what he always says, which is, it's good to have options. And I think that's what he's doing here, and he's looking to make this deal. There's a lot of stuff in this video. What I want you guys to do is sound off on anything that was mentioned here. It's a lot, but that's pretty much where we're at right now with the merger. I think that's enough information for today. So go ahead and give me your thoughts and opinions on anything I covered. Drop me a line in the comment section below. Big shout out to the Discord server. Big shout out to the patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to support Sneed Mobile Tech with a small or occasional monetary donation, there's a PayPal link in the description box below as well. So I think I'll leave it at that. Please like this video, share this video, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and make sure you get that notification bell activated. Got a lot of news potentially coming this week, so stay tuned. I'll have more for you guys. This is Sneed from Sneed Mobile Tech, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.